This is a picture of the Egyptian Ankh. In ancient Egypt, it was observed as the key of life. Here's the Ankh shown, with its 4 facets, describing the 4 fundamental elements of the human life: the body, the soul, the spirit, and subconscious. Within this powerful ancient symbol lies the secrets to who we are and why we are here. Let the viewer understand, you are consciousness, that is, a program of awareness that equates to perception of a given situation. And as consciousness, in this reality, we operate through 2 facets. 1. A corporeal soul program, founded on feminine energy, the negative pole of reality. 2. A corporeal body program, founded on masculine energy, the positive pole of reality. The body and the soul are both corporeal, that is the same in the sense that they are both made of the same substance, energy. They only differentiate in frequency, that is, degrees of vibration, and in their programming. The human avatar, the human body and head, the 2 parts of a human that house the biological program and a psychological program for the purpose of experience. The components of the programs are represented by the division of colors within the life key drawing in the center of the picture. The 7 colors of the right arm of the life key represent the creation of the physical manifestation of the body. Its substance and complete condition is built upon the 7 colors shown on the right arm of the life key. The left arm of the life key, the soul program, is represented by 5 colors in the life key drawing. Its substance and complete condition is built upon the 5 colors shown on the left arm of the life key. The energies of the right and left arm are matter and antimatter, and are united and stored in the 0 zone, or spirit, at the bottom of the life key. The ring on top of the life key represents the subconscious. It harmonizes or balances the scales. It is imperative for the viewer to understand that you are not a body or a soul, but rather, you are consciousness, and you are capable of existence without the body and soul programs. We only use the tools, body and soul, to gather experiences, or better yet, to experience the information provided by this reality, with the objective of building up a spiritual body for the next higher plane of life. As I stated earlier in so many words, the layout plans for the human avatar body format is seen in the Egyptian's life key, the Ankh. Each of the 4 facets of the Ankh plays a major role in the development of the conscious observer. And concerning the 4 facets of the life key, all forms of intelligent life on Earth arise with this same pattern. Body. The right arm of the life key works like the positively charged proton of an atom, representing material, the corporeal composition of the human, its body. The human body is an atomic molecular program with 5 built-in external sensors. The 5 sensors include hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, and seeing. Soul. The left arm of the life key works like the negatively charged electron of an atom, representing non-material. Simply put, it is the main programming of the corporeal composition of the human, its soul. The human soul is an anti-material program of 5 ultraminds. These 5 ultraminds or levels of soul work much like our corporeal 5 senses in the sense that, depending upon which level of soul you stand in and operate out of, will determine how you perceive a given situation. The 5 ultraminds are called in the Hebrew language, NEPHESH, Ruach, NESHAMA, Shaya, and Yichada. Spirit. The lower body section of the life key, its 0 charged zone, or spirit, supports the 2 upper arms, which equates to the body and soul of the creature. This lower section of the life key is the spiritual body of the human avatar and works like the neutron of an atom. Within the 0 zone, that is, the spirit of the creature, the experiences of the right and left upper arms are gathered. This is to say, the body and the soul, or rather, the biological and psychological life experiences, are united in the 0 zone. The energy patterns that are stored in the 0 zone remain in operation throughout carnation. Thus, the 0 zone, the human spirit, is pulsing with life and expression. The spirit body within the avatar is being fashioned during carnation for the next higher plane of life. In reincarnations, it is the spirit program that is given to the newly reincarnated avatar body to continue consciousness development in this reality. Subconscious. The ringed head of the life key represents the subconsciousness, not the conscious observer. It is the subconscious that keeps the 3 facets of the human being, its body, soul, and spirit intact. It harmonizes and balances the scales. The subconscious looks after its tools and is responsible that none of these three facets of the human destroys itself independently from its life experiences. The role of subconsciousness within the life key pattern is indispensable. Consciousness in the Great Planes of Life. Let the viewer understand, consciousness is a field that is all around us. It also resides inside all of what we term physical reality, from the human avatar body all the way down the scale to the microbe and even atoms that make up the many avatar forms on Earth. Although the atom can be broken down into even smaller units. According to esoteric philosophy, it is the atom that is the first unit of consciousness in a complete unified physical body form. In accordance with the esoteric philosophies of the ancient Egyptians and ancient Babylonians, there is only one consciousness, and this consciousness has been symbolically shattered like a mirror into pieces, creating the illusion of division and individualism within psychological creatures on Earth. But individualism is an illusion. There is only one consciousness, from whence we all have our dealings. The illusion of individualism we experience comes through the 4 billion gigabytes of information your brain processes every moment you're awake, for the sole purpose of your conscious experience. With so much stimulus and inducement bombarding the creature, it was necessary for a character, a self, to be generated as a summary of the complexity of the output of reality, to keep track of, as well as to refine the conscious experience. Thus, an anomaly, a conscious observer, emerges out of the great aggregation. Scientific studies and experiments concur, this emergence of a self, and thus, individualism, occurs with us all between the ages of 2 and 4. But this so-called individualism is not real, for we are all one consciousness, like many drops of water making up an ocean. If consciousness was an ocean, the conscious observer could be compared to one of the many waves of that ocean. The 4 great planes of reality. There are 4 great planes, from whence consciousness resides in our reality. The 4 great planes of reality are: 1. The great plane of chemistry, atoms to cells. 2. The great plane of biology, cells to animals. 3. The great plane of psychology, animals to humans. 4. The great plane of metaphysics, humans to angelic. Note, everything vibrates, everything is in motion. The higher the plane of life, the higher the vibratory factors that occupy that plane, and thus, the higher the experience of life is revealed to consciousness. Consciousness finds its limitations within the lower vibrating body forms. For example, atoms, the first complete unified body, which vibrates at the lowest frequency in the universe. But when brought together in union with other atoms, the frequency grows. The secret mystery schools of ancient Egypt and Babylon taught, the mind, that is, our thoughts, vibrates at the highest frequencies in our reality. This is because the brain, the CPU of the avatar body, houses neuron cells, and neurons differ from other cells in the body because neurons have specialized cell components called dendrites and axons. Dendrites bring electrical signals to the cell body while axons take information away from the cell body. Neurons communicate with each other through an electrode chemical process. Thus, the more neuron cells a brain houses, depending upon the weight of the creature and the location of the neurons within the brain, the more of the great mental plane of life, that is, the great plane of psychology, can be apprehended and thus experienced by consciousness. There is a higher vibratory factor, or higher frequency level than that of psychology, but these frequencies have their dwellings with what religion terms the angelic realm, that is, the great plane of metaphysics. Neurons don't equate to consciousness. May the viewer understand, we are consciousness. We are not bodily creatures having a spiritual experience, but on the contrary, we are spiritual creatures having a bodily experience. I once heard someone say, consciousness is all in the head. I replied, consciousness is not all in the head, meaning the brain. The person that stated the initial remark said to me, show and prove. I responded by saying, take the planarian worm for an example. The planarian worm is one of many flatworms of the Turbellaria class. This worm is definitely conscious, that is, aware of its surroundings. Yet, if you were to cut the head off a planarian worm where the brain of the worm resides, it would grow another head and brain. It will remain conscious, while growing another head. Therefore, consciousness is not just housed in the head. The 5 levels to the soul program. Earlier we discussed the avatar body and soul program. The 5 levels of soul programming should not be confused with consciousness. As opposed to consciousness being everywhere, the soul program, the mind, is all in the head. The soul mind is a part of the brain. The brain of the creature works like computer hardware, the machinery, whereas the soul mind of the creature works as the software. The soul, as well as the body, is what gives you the illusionary notion of a self. Your body and soul is the result of the complexity of the output of reality mentioned earlier. Everything you see, touch, taste, smell, and hear are electrical signals interpreted by your brain, the central processing unit in your head. And to take it one step further, all is of a holographic persuasion. It is as Stanford University's physicist professor, Leonard Susskind once stated. In a certain peculiar sense, the world is a hologram. But this is another topic for another time. Your consciousness, your soul, is an anti-material program of 5 ultra-minds. And as stated earlier, these 5 ultra-minds or levels of soul work much like our 5 biological senses in the sense that, depending upon which level of soul the conscious observer operates out of, will determine how the conscious observer will perceive a given situation and thus experience that situation. Before we discuss the different levels of soul, it should be noted that the soul is corporeal, meaning it is a part of physical reality because it is a byproduct of the body, that is, the brain. The soul mind is the result of electrical signals produced by neuron cells through the stimuli of physical existence. The soul, the mind, the psyche, the imagination, involve the highest frequencies of physical reality because the soul psyche is activated by the brain and its gathering of neuron cells. The brain with its neuron cells are the avatar's central processing unit, CPU. Your brain is a 3-pound, estimated 1 million gigabyte, quantum computer hard drive of wonder, which receives the atomic information of its environment via photons and processes it in an instant. The human brain is basically an electric web of billions of neuron cells wired together, encased in your head. But still, in this dark, secluded place, these billions upon billions of neuron cells are able to put together reality for you. We know our brains run on electrical impulses because every time we move or make a decision, electricity is buzzing amongst our brain cells. Psychologist and neurologist Mark George has stated, electricity is the currency of the brain. All thought, all beliefs, all actions are just electrical impulses. Therefore, the soul mind or psyche is not non-corporeal, but rather a physical phenomenon in relation to neuron cells and their production of electrical impulses. Consciousness, on the other hand, is strictly non-corporeal. There is nothing physical about the true you. Even when we use brain imagery apparatuses to probe the thoughts of a person, and by doing so, receive actual neurological activity readouts from the thoughts of that person, still, the imagery readout is only looking at the corporeal outside shell of the thing. The soul, that is, our thoughts and imagination, definitely possess a physical, measurable, observable core in it that can be measured by scientific instruments. But these readouts are not the same as the conscious experience of actually having those thoughts. The imagery readout and the conscious experience are 2 sides of the same coin. That is, the inside and the outside of the thing. As mentioned earlier, everything vibrates, and in reference to the soul-mind program, the vibratory factors it takes to produce a thought are of the highest frequency of our physical reality. 5 soul programs. As mentioned earlier, the 5 ultra-minds of the human soul program are called in the Hebrew language, 1. Nephesh, 2. Ruach, 3. Neshama, 4. Chaya, and 5. Yechadat. First level of soul, Nephesh, knowledge. The Nephesh soul stage is the lowest level of soul programming, from whence experiences from this reality are gathered. The Hebrew word, Nephesh, occurs 43 times in the Bible's Genesis account, and is derived from the root word, naphash, properly, a breathing creature, in reference to an animal. It is literally defined, soul, and can also be translated as life. desire, appetite. Strong's H5315. The Hebrew word, NEPHESH, gives reference to the soul in an animalistic aspect. Thus, it is called in Hindu, the lower nature, that which is linked to animal-like instincts and bodily cravings. The NEPHESH soul program gives consciousness the awareness of the physical body and the physical world. However, this awareness of the physical body and physical world is an awareness in a passive sense. It is nonsensical. It is merely an observation of the facts, like an infant baby observing its surroundings. As you put the glittery colored hot iron in the reach of the infant, it will continually reach for it and get burned over and over. Every living creature on earth that has a brain possesses a soul-mind program on the level of NEPHESH. The NEPHESH soul program is the life force of the avatar body. In the Jewish book termed Zohar, a Kabbalist work, it states, when a person is born, he is given a NEPHESH. Second level of soul, Ruach. Wisdom. The Ruach soul stage is the second level of soul programming, from whence experiences from this reality are gathered. The Hebrew word, Ruach, occurs 11 times in the Bible's Genesis account, and gives reference to wisdom, which is applied knowledge. The Ruach soul level also brings with it an arousal, or should I say, an awakening of biological and psychological emotions, for example, love, sadness, and anger. In other words, emotions are activated within the Ruach soul programming. The Hebrew word, Ruach, is defined figuratively, life, anger, by a resemblance spirit, but only of a rational being including its expression and functions. Strong's H7307. The Ruach soul program begins in the human at the toddler's age, where the infant will continue to grab the hot iron because it can only function within the first level of soul, the NEPHESH soul program. The toddler in the Ruach soul programming will gather the wisdom to stay away from it. All it will take is being burned once for the toddler to view the hot iron as danger. Therefore, the Ruach soul is a program where one is continually taking mental notations of one's surroundings, while drawing conclusions and adding the conclusions to their database for future observations and interactions, that is, for future experiences. Humanity and the rest of the world's animal kingdom possess a Ruach soul program. But at this second level of soul programming is where the animal kingdom's program ascension halts. Third level of soul, NESHAMA. Understanding. The NESHAMA soul stage is the third level of soul programming, from whence experiences from this reality are gathered. The primary activity of the NESHAMA soul-mind program is in the conceptual grasp of intellect. The Hebrew word, NESHAMA, occurs 2 times in the Bible's Genesis account and gives reference to intellect, which is the faculty of reasoning and understanding objectively. Intellect, Google definition. The NESHAMA program is all about understanding, all about putting the pieces of the puzzle of reality together. Where the NEPHESH avatar is burned continually by the hot iron, and the Ruach avatar stays away from the danger, the NESHAMA avatar seeks to understand why the iron is hot, what makes it hot, what is heat. The NESHAMA program within the adult human avatar is a level of soul-mind programming that ascends beyond the previous 2 programs in the sense of mental activity, and thus separates humanity from the other classes of creatures on earth. In the Bible's book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 7, it is recorded that the God of Genesis breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Unlike the word breath, in Genesis chapter 6, verse 17, which is taken from the Noah's Ark story, and is translated from the Hebrew word ruach, and gives reference to the animal kingdom's Ruach soul program. The word breath in Genesis chapter 2 verse 7 references Adam in the Garden of Eden, and is translated from the Hebrew word NESHAMA, the third level of soul programming. Here we see in the Genesis allegorical epic of creation, the NESHAMA soul program is associated with the creation of human, being termed the breath of life. When the Genesis account speaks of the creation of the first man, it states in so many words, the God of Genesis gave the man intellect, because the Hebrew word NESHAMA, translated as breath in the Genesis account, literally means intellect. Strong's H5397. The unique thing given to humans, termed by some the gift and the curse, was the power to not just make a choice, but perceive choice, which comes with intelligence. This comes with the NESHAMA soul program. The NESHAMA program within the human avatar allows the conscious observer to analyze underlying principles abstracted from multitudes of categories of thoughts imposed upon it by the NESHAMA soul-mind program, as well as human experiences. Fourth level of soul, Chaya, overstanding. The Chaya soul stage is the fourth and final level of soul programming, from whence experiences from this reality are gathered. The primary activity of the Chaya soul mind is enlightenment. Therefore, the Chaya soul cannot be detained within the human body until the experiences are gathered from the first three soul programs, and then are considered by the conscious observer as mundane. Thus, the Chaya soul seeks to go beyond the ephemeral rudiment principles of life in search of overstanding. May the viewer comprehend the difference between understanding and overstanding. The idea of understanding is given in the illustration of the man who stands under the bridge and sees the screws, bolts, beams, and all the materials that hold the structure fastened in place. He understands why the structure doesn't cave in under itself. Overstanding, however, is found in the same man who stands over the bridge. The man having a bird's eye view can now see the function and purpose of the bridge. The soul programming of Chaya seeks to pierce the curtain of life in order to see what's backstage, what's pulling the strings, what life is, what life's purpose is. The Chaya soul mind program looks at the world from the former three soul programs, NEPHESH, Ruach, and NESHAMA, and says, there must be more to life than this. Thus, as I stated earlier, the fourth and final level of soul programming within the avatar body, the Chaya program, looks at the world at hand and considers it mundane. This soul program seeks more than the rudiment principles of life. The Hebrew word, Chaya, is defined, suffer to live, revive, repair, restore, to life, Strong's H2421. This fourth level of soul goes beyond the third level of soul, which is the NESHAMA soul program, because it elevates with a complete nullification of the ego, which is selfishness. Whereas the primary activity of the third level of soul, the NESHAMA program, is to use intellectual comprehension in order to come to communion with the concept or idea of life. This is to say, the gathering of the meaning of life and universe. The fourth soul level, Chaya, allows the creature to commune with the creator of the universe, as the creature's mind transcends all creation. Therefore, the fourth soul allows the creature to view and experience what religion calls eternal life. That is, life on a much grander scale than that of the first three levels of soul programming. We tend to think of eternal life only as an everlasting existence. Eternal life gives reference to the quality of life, much more so than its quantity. The Chaya soul allows the conscious observer to perceive the homeostatic oneness of the universe and be illuminated by its connection to the grand scale of oneness. The culmination of the first four soul levels, NEPHESH, Ruach, NESHAMA, and then Chaya, inevitably results in Yechada, that is Godhead. Fifth level of soul, Yechada, Godhead. Yechada occurs when the four prior soul levels are completed. Yechada exhibits God consciousness and is termed in a variety of religious texts as the Godhead. Yechada, the Godhead, is the culmination of the four prior soul programs. It is the combining of the four and equates to having a mindset of the Creator, which is a mindset of bestowal, selflessness. To reach this fifth and final soul program is our purpose in life. We are born with a NEPHESH soul program, but the ultimate goal is Yechada, the Godhead. The NEPHESH is a receiving program of selfishness, but a necessary program, in order to pull in and experience all aspects of life. But only when we unlock the Yechada program in us can we enter the next stage of life. It is taught in Pauline Christianity that Jesus, the Christian's Christ, possessed the fullness of Godhead bodily. See the Bible's Colossians, chapter 2, verse 9. And it is written in the Jewish Psalms, humanity is destined to possess this Godhead as well. See the Bible's Psalms, chapter 8, verse 5. Yechada, the Godhead level of soul programming, is described in esoteric thought as a spark of the Creator enclothed within a spark of the created. Thus, the prior four levels of soul can be described as four ascending levels of awareness, to gather experience in this reality, in order to reach Godhead. The ability to reach Godhead is what separates humanity from the rest of Earth's animal kingdom. Reaching the final fifth level of soul, Yechada, the Godhead, is accompanied with a new avatar body for the next higher stage of life. The new body partaken by the conscious observer, once the fourth level of soul programming is obtained and completed, is what the ideologies of the Far East term a diamond body, what Neo-Theosophy term an etheric body, and what Christian theology term a resurrected body and a raptured body. Consciousness is in everything physical. The purpose of what we term physical life, that is, atoms, cells, plants, trees, and the great variety of avatar body types, is to house consciousness, as consciousness comes in contact with and learn about what we term reality. The climb of consciousness through the four levels of soul programming and the four great planes of reality are all for the attainment of experience, with the goal of becoming Godhead, your natural state of being. Again I state, obtaining yichada, completion, the fifth level of soul programming, the Godhead, comes by obtaining a mindset of complete selflessness. Yes, selflessness is the mountain of life one must climb in becoming complete. Finally, I will wind up this documentary by stating again, there are 5 levels of soul programming to be obtained within the human avatar body. The first 4 levels are for the reality we presently reside in, and there is a final 5th level for the next higher stage of life. The human avatar body is equipped to house the first 4 soul programs. Once the 4th level is reached and then completed, it becomes the 5th soul program. Thanks for watching our documentary. If you would like to see more documentaries like this, support our channel by smashing the like and subscribe buttons. All inserts within this documentary were taken from Michael Cage bestseller, Illuminati Bible, Hidden Wisdom of Alpha and Omega, available at Amazon and all fine bookstores.